AI, in the travel, here we go. Got that AI on the low, taking flights to and fro, booking trips in a snap with a simple chatbot flow. AI, revolutionizing how we roll. Gonna hop on a plane.
Welcome to another episode of the Everything AI in Travel podcast, where we hear from the makers, shapers, and buyers of AI technology in the travel space. Here's your host, Tony Khan.
Hey everyone, welcome to another of the Everything AI in Travel podcast. Now in the top 3 on Apple Podcasts in travel technology. So thank you everyone who has been listening along, who has been subscribing and jumping in and leaving comments. It's all helping immensely to get more visibility on this podcast, which helps us get really great guests. And today is no exception. Today we have Healy Cypher, who is from BoomPop, who have recently raised $25 million to connect us all together in real life, but with AI. Welcome to the show. How you going, Healy?
Hey, Tony, thanks for having me. Congrats, by the way, on all the progress. That's awesome. Number 3 that's nothing to shake a stick at. That's pretty awesome.
For sure. I was actually shocked myself, but somebody sent me an email saying, hey, you've cracked the top 3.
Awesome.
And the effects of that are obviously enormous because you suddenly get a lot of inbound of really interesting people who want to come and talk. That didn't happen on this occasion. I saw your raise and wanted to reach out to you and talk to you about your business because I think you're in a super fertile area. It's not specifically travel, it's on the fringe, but we all go to a lot of conferences. We all have a business where we do offsites, and I think it's a super interesting part of the world. But before we get into that, I'm interested to know a little bit more about you personally. I've done some snooping on your LinkedIn, and it looks like you've had a really great career where you've worked for businesses that have been acquired into bigger companies and then taken on great roles within those companies and then started your own thing and got that acquired. So I'd love to understand a little bit about where you've come from. The first one I saw was a company you were working for that got acquired by eBay back in the early 2010s. And then you ended up with a really great job at eBay. Just run us through what that was like for you.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. First of all, thanks for having me. Second is, I've been lucky. So my background is I'm from Nebraska, which is a small state in the center of the country you probably haven't been to in the US. Warren Buffett lives there. And the plot twist is I grew up in Saudi Arabia, so a bit of an expat for 16 years. And after college, I followed my then girlfriend, now wife, to the Bay Area, and I could not get a job. I was trying my butt off. It was a global financial crisis. And I joined a friend's startup and hit a lottery, Tony, and we sold 7 months after I joined. And I was the VP of Biz Dev, and I was critical to the deal. And it changed my life. I went from having $34 in my bank account, literally. My dad was like, how did you support? I was like, I don't know. So I could then afford a wedding in California, which I thought was amazing. And I kind of got hooked, and I've been running and selling companies ever since. I sold my last company in 2019. It was a pretty boring company, just to set expectations. If you ever walk into a McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's and you go to those touchscreen kiosks, you order food.
Yeah.
We sold all those to top 40 quick serve restaurants in North America. And it was fun. I remember I got this one time, we came up with this idea we called the temptation cookie. And it was this thing where in Wendy's, you press checkout, and right when you press checkout, this beautiful chocolate chip steaming cookie would take over the screen and start rotating. And it said, are you sure you don't want a cookie? And everyone was like,
I think I want a cookie.
Screw it. Yeah, they buy the cookie. And I got a call from the CIO, and he goes, Healy, man, this cookie thing is crazy. I was like, I know, it's so awesome. Like basket syrup, because it's a high margin SKU. I'll just put it that. He goes, it's going great. Could you do me a favor? Could you turn it off for just 2 weeks? And I was like,
cookies.
Literally, I was like, why? He goes, we can't make enough cookies.
It's hilarious.
So that was a ton of fun. And then I was lucky. I joined my friend Jack Abraham over at Atomic, which is a venture studio. I was there for 5 years, running the 0 to 1 team, COO. We did a lot of good stuff there. And that's an amazing firm. They're behind Hims and Hers and a bunch of great companies. And then as I did that, I realized I love operating. I love traveling. I love bringing people together. And I had never had a company I was as passionate about as BoomPop, because that's all we do. All we do is bring people together. And Tony, what I might say is, I think especially when it comes to AI, there's a lot of questions about what's the effect going to be on the future, and what are some of the enduring, if you're a betting person, what are some of the enduring trends you should bet on? And what I've loved is I think there's this resurgence now. You've heard it from Sam Altman, who when asked what the biggest change AI was going to have in the world, he said a premium on fantastic in-person experiences. at Masters of Scale recently, Brian Chesky, the founder of Airbnb, CEO, he said basically he thinks people are going to want to start putting their phones down and they're going to want to start being in the world. And I wholeheartedly believe that, especially as things become indistinguishable from reality when they're digital, we are increasingly going to want to be in person more. I know I'm seeing that. I get invited to more dinners and meetings and in-person stuff than ever before. And I think it is a tailwind that is going to have a tremendous boon for the travel industry. No question.
Yeah, and I firmly agree. And quite randomly, my last in-person experience to an event or a conference was in Saudi Arabia, where I
Really?
realized you grew up. Yeah, it was my first trip to Riyadh and to Saudi. Were you in Riyadh when you grew up?
I was in Riyadh. Yeah,
Okay, fantastic. And that's a unique kind of experience in itself.
it was.
I spent 5 years in Cairo, slightly
Oh,
different
cool.
experience, Middle Eastern experience, but definitely Arabic speaking.
Cairo
Did
was
you
great.
learn
Yeah.
Arabic while you were over there?
Shwaya, shwaya.
Sure, yeah. No, I can talk about weather with the old ladies and sport with the guys, and that's about it. And maybe understand a
Yeah.
little bit more of what's going on, but I never totally cracked it.
I,
But yeah,
you know,
no,
one thing of Arabic's a beautiful language. I love how the script looks, but I think my favorite part of Arabic is cursing someone out.
oh,
Like it is the most guttural, beautiful way to really let someone have it. You know what I mean?
yes, and all my friends. That was the first thing my friends taught me was all the ways to diss somebody.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's a long time since I've been in the Arabic world, but when I was excited to be back in Saudi Arabia
Oh, cool.
recently,
Yeah.
but like all the words that came to my mind were things that you just shouldn't be saying to people.
Yeah,
So
it turns out.
I had to kind of
Yep.
have a real kind of double think about before I spoke to anyone. But it was good, like practicing with the Uber drivers and what have you. Really enjoyed being back
Cool.
in that culture was
Totally.
fantastic. Back to proper things. Now on to BoomPop. You mentioned Atomic there, and I saw that they were part of the round
Mhm.
that you've just raised. And I was
Mm.
curious how that really played out. Was it you met some people within the venture studio at Atomic and came up with an idea, or the idea's kind of been always in your mind and you were able to form a team through people you connected at the venture studio? Like, how did that kind of interplay work out to form BoomPop in the first place?
Yeah, yeah. When I was at Atomic, I ran the 0 to 1 team. And the 0 to 1 team's edict was to find as many companies we thought could be generational, enduring meaning and value companies as possible, and to quickly test out if it was a viable company or not. And so at our height, I think we did 39 projects a year. Like we cruised, massive team. And there's certain boxes that make companies great companies. And there's certain boxes that make companies great VC backable companies. And the VC backable companies, we both know the game. It is you're trying to make the biggest company you can as fast as possible. And you don't mind burning a lot of capital to get there because hopefully the pie is big enough. Now, we also know that the percentages of success are quite low. And so it's a big gamble. Everyone knows that on both sides of the table, both the investing sides and the founder side. And so in this case, we were thinking about trends. And I remember I saw this stat that really stuck with me. It said that they expected post-pandemic office occupancy to level out around 50% of what it was before the pandemic. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And so I surveyed 2,000 companies and I said, hey, is this true? Are you really not going to go back to the office? And if it is true, what are you going to do with all that money? And they said, we are going to go back to offices, but it's going to be a lot less frequently, smaller footprint. All the money we're going to save, and I did the math, it was like 1.7 trillion annually.
Wow.
All of that 1.7 trillion we're going to save, the majority of it, we're just going to put into in-person events. I said, events? And they're like, yeah. If you want a great team that knows what the North Star is, you got to get it together like a drum beat. And if you want customers that love you and are going to be great referrals, you got to do client dinners and take them to the ball game and go to the concert together. And if you want your top performers to stick with you, you got to do sales kickoff events and incentive trips. And as I looked at that, I then said, okay, I took a step back and said, what about travel? And travel is one of the big ones. It's 10% of global GDP. It's like $11.7 trillion to spend every year. Everyone knows travel has produced some of these massive wins for VC. Airbnb, Expedia, Booking, I could go on. But for whatever reason, group travel, which is mostly events, by the way, I define as 10 plus, is the last corner travel that has ever been digitized. And I think, Tony, the reason is because they didn't have AI. So today, people, your listeners probably know this because they're likely to travel, but if you want to book over 10 hotel rooms, you got to call, email, sometimes you got to fax a group sales team, and they take days to get back to you, or you're using some really old school systems. It's wildly anachronistic. And that is why you have sometimes teams of people at companies spending days and weeks for a single event, which is just crazy. And unlike typical travel, which is it's like pretty deterministic. I'm going from Melbourne, I'm flying to Singapore. Here's the days I want to fly. So I'm just trying to figure out, is there an aisle seat, the direct flight within the price range I want? That's normal travel. You can build that easily. Group travel is not deterministic. It's a compounding problem. You're trying to coordinate. When can Tony make it? When can you make it? What's the weather going to be like? Oh, is it really busy? Oh, is the hotel available? Oh, is there activity I want to do there? Oh, and you get information, you iterate. This is something that is very notoriously hard for humans to do. It turns out they're called n factorial problems in computer science. AI is really freaking good at that.
Yeah.
And so we decided we said, okay, we're going to make it so good. Like, you can tell our AI, hey, we want to do an offsite within a 2-hour drive of San Francisco sometime in Q1, when my team can make it, that's within this budget, these types of activities, where should I go? And it looks at millions of data points, including, is there a Taylor Swift concert? Maybe don't go unless that's the reason you're going. It'll be a zoo. It says, we think these are the best possible 3 locations, and these are the best possible dates because it's good weather, it's not crowded, the budget is neat, and the activities are available. Yeah. That is so hard. So that's the first. And then the second is, it's a lot of unstructured communication. You're negotiating back and forth, almost like you mentioned Saudi, like they had these souks there, like what a souk with a incense seller, like you're negotiating back and forth with these hotel people. And AI is very good at not just like unstructured communication. Our AI, when you're messaging with the hotels, even will write the negotiation first draft for you based on what it knows about the hotel and about the industry, and help you do that. So it's a long way of saying that it came from Atomic because I was there and I was a big part of Atomic. I love travel. I love bringing people together. Those have been 2 paths. I was a chief of staff at eBay for a while. Like, I was in charge of these events. It was incredibly painful, but it checked all the boxes. It's like, travel is massive. This is it's a wide open subsegment of travel. The competitive set is fragmented and low NPS. I don't know if you knew this, but there's 48,000 accounting firms in the US. Guess how many event agencies there are?
Tell me.
100,000. 2x the amount of accounting firms. Yeah, wow. That's like wild.
That is
it's so fragmented. And it's like Linda, she lives in Tiburon and she's in Marin, and she'll do your Salesforce dinner. And everyone knows Linda. Like, that's the industry. And so it checked all these boxes for what I believe was a wonderful VC-backed company. And I just loved doing it. So that was the impetus.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And I do have a question. Are you helping Linda, or are you disintermediating Linda? But before I get to that, I just want to give an anecdote, not to sell your business for you, but like, I used to run a company called Urban Adventures, and we started that company as remote first in 2010. So we didn't need to, we just did it because basically I wanted to hire the people that I wanted to hire. And I wanted them to join my company, and I didn't want to put barriers in front of them. And so if they lived in Slovenia or Prague or wherever they happened to live, I was happy, you just join me and let's do this thing together. And thankfully, the parent company I worked for was also on board with that experiment at the time, as it was. But once a year, we got together, not only with that team, but we're also a franchisor as a franchise business. And so we got all our franchisees together in one place for a week. And we went to some incredible places like Hoi An in Vietnam and Isla Mujeres in Mexico. And it was always a very special kind of event. But I had to basically use an FTE. And I would say it was probably 50% of the work that they did for 6 months of the year. So we're talking 20K of FTE expense I was putting into this event, which was critical for our business and for our culture and for building our business. And that's why I was happy to invest that money. But 20K is a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah.
I'm painting the picture for why I think this is such a ripe area, because that was not core business for that employee. That's not what they were hired to do. They were the ones who put their hand up and said, I'll organize it and what have you. And they were in a world of pain the whole time, because we weren't experts in that. We didn't know how to run an RFP process and get 3 hotels to compete with us, or reach out to particular areas and their tourism boards and say, hey, do you have incentives for us to come in off season or whatever?
Totally.
There's so many opportunities out there to do this kind of stuff and build benefit for both the company, the destination, fill up hotels that are otherwise empty, still great areas. It's an incredible opportunity. But that's my anecdote and why I love this what you're doing.
Well, Tony, completely agree. And I just want to point out that like that, You just hit on some really critical points. I don't want to breeze over too fast because it's why this is so interesting. So you mentioned, oh, you reach out to a DMC, DMO about some dates where they need filling. Just so everyone knows, hotels rely on events Monday through Thursday. They really need that business. And when an event falls out, it puts them into a panic mode and they send out flyers for need dates. We need these to be filled. Otherwise, we're not going to hit our revenue requirements per every available room. And if you have in a marketplace, especially an AI powered one that can surface those specific need dates to the best possible buyer, the buyer now gets a screaming deal, the hotel is saved, everyone wins. It's the same theory as like an Airbnb and Uber. You have underutilized assets that are available, you connect them to the best person. That's a big part of why I love it. And then I think the other thing too is there's this interesting thing you can do with AI now, which is it can learn your preferences over time. And you can explicitly tell it stuff, but implicitly it can deduce the things you and your guests care about. And so we call it the taste graph principle. And there's like 3 layers for us. There's the individual user taste graph. So you, Tony, what do you like when you're hosting an event or attending an event? There's what does your company like to do, generally speaking? High-end hotels are always on a golf course or never a pool, or whatever it is. And there's also globally, what do lookalike events look like? So if someone says, hey, I want to do an offsite within a 2-hour drive of San Diego, we know every other time that request has been made, what they ended up booking. And it makes it significantly more efficient. But what I love about this, and this is our dream, our vision, is we want to be the default way the world gets together. And so you should be able to say, hey, I'm going to do a birthday party for my daughter. It's her 15th birthday party, very similar to last year. But this year, I want to make it themed based on, she's really into whatever, neuroscience. So how can I involve that? And it should say, okay, I know everything, inflation adjusted. Here is 3 amazing options for what I think you'd love. You're great. Option 2. And it just does it. And that morning, you just wake up and you show up too. And the balloons are there and the whatever, everything's just done. Like it should be that easy eventually. And that's what we're going for. And I can tell you about some of the features we built that are getting us there. But I think that you have all these amazing entrepreneurs that serve the event industry now. They're looking for business. Hotels, it is a hard job to run a hotel. It's an important job. And this is a platform that can help them all out while helping other people to reduce the barriers between wanting to get together and then actually getting together. Just make it frictionless.
Yeah, for sure. So do you see this tool being used by these kind of mum and pop agencies that do meeting planning now? Is that kind of who the ICP is on that side? Or would you expect still an employee within a company or both?
So primarily it's the latter. We're looking at the people who are in the companies and either they've just drawn the short straw and now they're planning the partner summit because like they're the junior guy on the job, or they are head of workplace experiences. Maybe they're an internal event planner. More often than not, they're an executive assistant who has been tasked to do this. All of those people to us, they aren't given the budget to hire Linda. They're not allowed to hire Linda. And so we say, we know it's going to be on your plate. And this is, so I guess if you bifurcate all meetings and events from MICE, meetings, incentives, conferences, events, 48% is called managed. So like a Linda could run it. But 52% is unmanaged, which means it's just people having to do it. That unmanaged category, this is for them. You got to do this. Here is a tool to make it significantly easier for you to do the whole thing. And we haven't gone through the product. Happy to do it at some point. It's as easy as you give it a prompt. It gives you suggestions. It suggests an itinerary. If you like it, you say, use this itinerary. It builds a full itinerary with a map and suggestions. It builds the entire website for you in microseconds, including weather and hotel details and FAQ. And it even chooses a Spotify playlist for you. And then when your guests RSVP, you get a text. And the text is from the AI also. And it says, Tony, congratulations. You RSVP'd. I will be helpful as I can. I'll give you digests every day of what's coming up the next day. I'll give you weather notifications, but you can ask me anything. I can make a packing list for you. I can tell you who else is landing when you land. I can even change the dinner reservation on your behalf if you're running late. And all of that is for that ICP, the kind of person who's working in a company to start and they got to do events.
For sure. And this, does it cover things like registration? And an event can be anything, right? So it can be like sitting in an auditorium for 6 hours and maybe a coffee break, but it can be multi-days. It can be rooms. It can be, I want dinner on Monday and Wednesday, but people are on their own on Tuesday. And this tier is got breakfast included and this tier doesn't. Like it can be very complicated.
Yes.
Does BoomPop take care of all that, or is that kind of roadmap stuff, or what are we looking at there?
Yeah, it's a great question. We mostly do multi-day events
Yep.
that involve hotel blocks. That's actually the primary way that we make money.
Yep.
The kind of limitations the software has is it tends to be a single payer event. So if you're selling a bunch of tickets, it doesn't make sense. And today it is a single track event. We are building types and tracks. We're building, like, a lot of other stuff will come.
Yep.
The other thing I'll say though, and I think this is a big part of why we stand out, Tony, is if at any time when you're using the platform, you just want a professional, we have a 35-person team of qualified meeting planners on staff, and they can parachute in. They know exactly what you're doing, and they'll be there to make sure that the coffee's hot and the trashes are empty. They'll go in and make sure the CEO's room, the toilet's all flush and the alarm isn't set, so she wakes up and she's all pissed because you woke up at 3:30 by accident, and the outlets work for that matter. Like, they will do all of that stuff for you. And this is our goal, is to be a one-stop shop for companies. Hey, you got to do this, you come and we can do it all for you.
Yeah.
So in that way, we do compete with Linda, not because we don't love Linda, more just like we're just trying to make it easier for our clients.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought this same debate's playing out with travel advisors for general leisure travel as well.
Yeah.
There's AI, and you can go do your trip planning, talking to your computer, and it will plan everything for you. So now it will kind of book things for you as well. And then you see what happens when you travel. If like it goes wrong, it's you and the computer. Good luck. So other people will still use their in-person travel agent, and then other companies are building this same software for travel agents so that their job becomes easier and actually their life becomes more human connection as well. So I think there's kind of lots of permutations in there that gives you actually a bigger TAM in the end.
Totally.
Should you build the right?
And you can self-select too. If you're a user and I was talking to a user this morning, and that user said, I don't want to talk to people, I just want to talk to a computer. You can do that. Another one, same day, was like, I don't want to talk to computers, I want someone there. You can do that. Like, whatever you want, friend.
Yeah, very good, very good. Now, before starting Viderio, I kind of had a one-man venture studio and tried out lots of different things before landing on starting that business. And one of them was actually in this area. And so I did quite a bit of research on the problem space, and it seemed like Cvent was the whale. So,
500-pound gorilla, no question.
Correct. And so is that kind of, they're the incumbent who are old technology, slow, seemingly almost somewhat difficult RFP process, not a lot of information actually to make good decisions, was my read on. That's why I thought this was a huge opportunity, this particular market. Are they the incumbent that you're going after?
I want to be careful because I love those guys. I love Reggie. I think they did a great job. Look, I think what I'd say about Cvent is, one is, yes, it is very rote in the fact that you got to answer a ton of forms. You got to know how it works. And so as a user, it's involved. They have a great database, but it's a very involved process. It's not easy and fast and intuitive. You're not talking to AI to do it. The bigger opportunity I see when it comes to Cvent is, as a hotel seller, you're a group salesperson. When you get an RFP coming in, lodged in from Cvent, it's generally speaking a less than 1% chance it's going to close. And you're going to spend, it doesn't matter, even if you know that. You are held, you got to respond. And so you're going to spend 45 minutes responding to Betty@yahoo.com, and Betty works at Yahoo, or if she says a Yahoo email address.
Yeah,
you still got to respond. And for us, what we're trying to do is we try to be a good company and good people. We talked about my podcast, Don't Be a Jerk, but which, yes, please check it out. But we try to imbue that into how we work. And as a user, you can just talk to the AI. We'll ask you very simple questions. We try to only reveal things until it's needed. And then as a member of the hotel sales staff, we give you an AI enriched inbox. So this RFP has a very high chance of converting. Here's how you can win it. Here's how you can give this user the concessions we believe they're going to want. Even though the profit margin, this is not like, you always do buffet in the morning. So whether it's free or not is not going to hurt your costs.
Yeah.
It's just lost margin, but they're going to care. You're going to win the deal. So we try to help both out, and we try to take it where on the hotel side, instead of taking 45 minutes to respond to an RFP, it should take you 4 to 5 minutes. Like, it should be very fast. So that's part of what we're doing. I think before you even get to Cvent though, there's these interesting companies like Conference Direct or Helms Briscoe, where it's remarkably old school. It's just agents who have an onboarding call. They call a bunch of hotels, they put into a spreadsheet, and it's still involved for you. And I think there's a lot of opportunities to create a new paradigm for how this industry can and should work.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And what's the new competitive landscape like? I have actually seen, even in the newsletter announcing the BoomPop raise, there was another company which now unfortunately slips my mind. But they also raced them. No, they won some awards. And they actually scooped a bunch of awards at a particular conference on a very similar prospect. Would look to me like a very similar prospect. Is there a lot of AI upstart competition that you're up against as well?
I'll tell you that what's interesting is I think we saw it first, but we definitely are not the only people who saw it. And as people have noticed the travel trends and the spend trends and which way it's going, more and more companies are getting smart. Like the landscape for performance marketing is way busier now than it was 2 years ago. It's just a different universe. So people are bidding, they're getting out there. There is a cohort of like earlier seed back companies. We know them all well. They all spend a tremendous amount of time on our site, often copying a lot of our stuff. And I try to be cool about stuff, but there's been a couple times where I emailed the founders and I've been like, look, just stay in your lane. Like your homepage has a screenshot of our app, but just with your colors. Dude, just do your own fucking thing. Stop copying us. That's okay. I think so far, I think we're ahead right now, but we in no way are resting on our laurels. I think momentum is a moat. We are trying to hit absolute escape velocity. My hope is over the next couple months, there's some announcements that come out and you're like, oh, wow, they're hitting on the afterburners. So that's our goal. And we went to IMEX, which everyone knows is like the big kind of group meeting conference in Vegas. Lovely conference. And we met with a bunch of the big hotel brands, with IHG, with Marriott, with Hyatt, very close partners, the McCore, we love them, Montage. And a lot of them said, we don't know where you guys came from, but you have done in 2 years what took most agencies 20 years to build. And you're already a top 5% revenue producer for our hotels. We want to keep doing that. Like we want to be we're trying to move a portion of the center of gravity on our rails and make it really efficient for everybody.
Sounds perfect. Very good and great job on that velocity. Is there a geographical component to your go to market? Are you like concentrating Bay Area and trips around there, or because it's AI and you're plugged into the major chains, you can do anywhere pretty much?
As far as destinations, we go anywhere.
Yeah.
As far as our clients, it's mostly North America right now.
Yep.
Just by nature of the fact I've got a primarily English speaking staff and product and AI for that matter.
Very good. Very good. And then very selfishly from my own perspective, like does video play any part in this at all? I guess that was where I took my own research, was that all these RFPs were like forms and surveys and words. But if I was actually looking for, I was thinking more of a wedding than maybe a business conference, but like I'd want to have a video walkthrough of what I'm getting, where I'm going. I'd really want to know what it's all about. And it just didn't exist, but I don't know if you've looked at that.
It's a really good question. I'm actually now going to think about that more. So we have this mighty collection funnel of data. And as everyone knows in travel, it's already inherently fragmented. It's even more so for meetings and groups. If you want meeting spaces, good luck. If you want private dining, good luck. It's just not out there. You got to get it, be in the trenches in the mud. And so we pull in photos from everywhere. We pull in 3D tours, so 3D models. And then we'll also pull in video if they have it. But it's a good point. Like that's a really good point. I'm going to think about that more.
We should chat.
Yeah, we should chat. Actually.
I've got people everywhere out filming these hotels.
I would love that. Yeah, it's
very good.
Really good
we've
point.
only got 2 minutes left. If you want to just basically give people a bit of a rundown on how they can find you, and maybe also a quick word about your podcast, that would be great.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Tony, thanks again. Yeah, you can find me pretty easily. I'm just Healy@boompop.com. So you can email me pretty easily. I'm on LinkedIn. I do have a podcast. I've just started. We're very early. It's 6 months in. It's called Don't Be a Jerk. It was named by my friend and organizational psychologist, Adam Grant, who famously wrote books like Give and Take. And the whole idea is it's the exact podcast I wish I had as an upcoming member of the business community and as a leader, where I think it is, for whatever reason, the mainstream narrative is in order to get ahead, you got to be a jerk, you got to be an asshole, you got to do just to be cutthroat. And growing up, I was told things like that every now and then, and it never felt right. And what I've learned over my career is, in fact, the opposite is much more true and more prevalent. The most successful people often are successful because people trust them and they do the right thing and they're empathetic and they make the right decision and they're high integrity. And so we interview neuroscientists, FBI negotiators, entrepreneurs, actors and actresses, a bunch of people who are very successful from all walks of life. And we try to find the common threads. And the common thread every time is, it turns out at their core, they're just good people helping each other out. And so that's a podcast. Check it out. It's called Don't Be a Jerk. It's on don'tbeajerkpodcast.com. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. It's everywhere you could find YouTube. It's everywhere you could find podcasts.
Perfect. Sounds like something that we could all benefit from and have a good listen to. And it's definitely a philosophy I subscribe to. So yeah, people don't be jerks. Healy, thank you so much for your time today. If people have liked what they've heard today, if you've got an event that you're coming up and this seems like a great way to try out something and maybe save a heap of FTE time for your EA or whoever is the poor person in your business that has to do this kind of stuff, give it a try. What do you got to lose, really?
Please do.
Give it a go. Indeed. Hey, thanks for your time today, and we'll see everyone on the next podcast soon.
Thanks, Tony.
AIO in the travel, here we go. Got that AI on the low, taking flights to and fro, booking trips in a snap with a simple chat bot flow. AIO, revolutionizing how we